All right, so this is the third video for chapter 8. So we've created the profile and the pockets. Now we're going to create holes in the side on both this side and this side. This is going to be done using Hole Wizard. The type of hole we're going to make, you could do it holes and cutting them out to make the countersink, and then another cut to make the through hole. But Hole Wizard is a great tool that can make more complicated type countersunk bolt holes and things of that nature that are tailored specifically to certain size screws and bolts and all that kind of stuff. So it's a really great, useful tool for making real products. So Hole Wizard sort of uses a sketch. I know we've had a lot of features. You need to make a sketch first, and then using the sketch, you can extrude it. And then we've learned other tools that don't require sketches that are just feature tools like fillets, shells, mirror, things like that. There's all kinds of tools that don't require sketches. Hole Wizard is a feature on its own. We don't necessarily need a sketch to start, but you'll more or less use a sketch to pick the placement of every hole. So you're really just going to be placing points on a surface, and then those points will be, you'll dimension those points in space where you want the center of your hole to be, and then Hole Wizard will create the more sophisticated type hole centered on the points that you placed. So in order to do this, we're going to go up here to Hole Wizard. It's on your feature toolbar. We'll select Hole Wizard. Give it a second to load there. And then you can see we get this these properties that pop up on the left here for the Hole Wizard. And there's different hole types. You can see, the one we're going to be using is a counter bore. There's a counter sink here. There's just a regular hole. There's all different shapes. You can kind of see in the preview what they're going to be. The main ones that you're going to use on a regular basis are counter bore, counter sink. You don't really need to use the standard hole. I mean, you could, but you can just do a circle cutout for that. This may give you a different type of profile on the bottom instead of just a flat circle. But anyway, there's different options. Once you select the type, so again, we're going to be using the counter bore here. Then you can change between all different types of standards. In this case, we're going to be using ANSI inch. And then the type in this case is going to be binding head screw. And I'm getting this all off of page 8.5. But there's a ton of different types of bolts or screws. I work a lot with socket head shoulder screws. Actually, I take that back, socket head cap screws. But in this case, binding head screw is what we're going to select. Size is the next thing. There's all different sizes. We're going to be selecting 1/4 inch. Fit will be normal, and then they want us to select this show custom sizing checkbox. And this is where we can plug in their specific dimensions. So first here is the hole diameter. So this is going to be the through hole. You can kind of see in the preview here, but this is the size of the through hole diameter. So they want 0.625. Then we have this one's going to be called the counter bore diameter. So this is the width of the counter bore that's going to create the shoulder that our screw or bolt sits on. So in this case, they want 0.875. And then the depth of the counter bore. So that'll be the depth of usually the head of the bolt that you're putting in this hole here. And that's going to be 0.25. Okay, then for your end condition down here, let's see, I know they say it somewhere. There's a second little screenshot. Give me a second here. I had a window pop up. I gotta close. Okay. So the end condition, it's in one of the pictures there on 8.5. It's a smaller picture broken off to the side of all the properties. But they want you to set this actually to blind. And it's going to go to a depth of 0.625. Okay. So we've got that all set there. Make sure you read everything on the page. There's a couple other notes. One says uncheck the near side countersink checkbox. So that was this. This was checked. we're going to uncheck that. We're not going to use any of these options down here at the bottom. Okay. And then next, so we've got all our properties set for the type of hole that we want. So if you look here on the properties toolbar, there's two tabs. We've been working on type. Now we want to set the position. So we'll come over here and we'll select the positions tab. And this is where we specify where we want the holes. So first select the face for the hole. So that's going to be here. We'll select that face. And now you can see a preview of our bolt hole on the surface. So what we need to do is just select a position for the first. Well, I'll click there to place 1 point. You can see the point in the center there highlighted. I could keep placing more, but that's not how we want to do it. We're going to create one and do a feature pattern. And what this is going to allow is when we do other configurations with more or less holes, we'll be able to decide how many we want instead of having to come in and modify this or suppress this. It'll be a lot easier. And again, we'll get to configurations, but for now we just want one of these. So on here we can smart dimension the position of this first one. So we'll select the center of the hole or the point we added and the edge of the part, and we'll set that to 1 inch. And then we'll need to position it vertically here. So we'll set the vertical position to 1 inch as well. And that gets it right where we want it. So you can see that goes through just a little bit. They did that on purpose just so it cuts all the way through. And we'll go ahead and click the check mark here. And we're happy with our hole position. So we'll click the check mark again and it'll create our hole. You can see that appear on the design tree. It's a feature on our design tree now. And that's just like anything else. You could go back and edit this, change any of the properties of the hole, change the position if you wanted on the position tab again. A lot of people forget about this. It's easy to forget. There's a tab here to set the position of the hole or holes. So we've got that one. So now that we've done that, if you go to the next page, which is 8.6, this is where we're going to create a pattern for it down the side. So we will stay on the features toolbar up here. We'll go to linear pattern. For the direction, we want to move along this edge. We'll select that. Distance apart. The spacing here should be 2 inches. We want 3 of them. And then we need to select the feature. So we'll select the features box. And we'll drop our design tree down and select the counter bore. And you can see it pattern it correctly there. That's how we want it. And so we'll click the check mark. So we've got our 3 holes down this side. We need 3 matching holes down the other side. And so what we're going to do is we need a plane down the center of our part here to mirror that feature pattern across. Okay. So we know our part width here is 4 inches. So what I'm going to do is go to reference geometry like we've done before. We're going to create a new plane in the middle. So we'll select reference geometry and select plane. Okay, now I believe the right plane, yep, the right plane's on that edge there. So we'll select the right plane as our first reference. And we want our new plane to be 2 inches off the right plane. So we'll enter in 2 over here for the offset distance. I don't need to reverse it because it went the right way, and now we have a plane in the middle of our part. So I'll click the checkbox. That's what we want. You can see our plane there. And then we're simply going to select mirror on the features toolbar. Okay, so we'll come over here, select mirror. Face or plane, it's going to be the new plane we just created. You can select it on the screen or on the design tree if you want to drop it down here. You can see plane 1. And then features to mirror. I'm not going to select the counter bore. I'm going to select the entire pattern of the counter bore so that all 3 get mirrored. You can see that appear over here, and we'll click the check mark, and now we have our 3 holes on both sides. Okay, so that gets us through page 8.7. And then the next step on page 8.8 is to create 4 holes on the top. I'm going to skip that part. That should be very straightforward. You can use, actually don't use Hole Wizard. Do it the standard way of making 4 holes. Make sure you use horizontal relations and vertical relations to define all those and lock them into a rectangular pattern with each other. The less dimensions you use and the more relations, the easier it's going to be to make new configurations down the line. You'll see that in the next couple of videos, why that makes it so much easier. But if you can use the couple simple dimensions they have on page 8.8 to make that whole pattern, and then use relations to define the rest, modifying it is going to be way easier. You'll have way less things to change when we get further on in this model. So when we're going to go to the next video now. This is it for Hole Wizard. The next video is going to show you how to make your first configuration. That's going to be a section view configuration. All right, see you in the next video.